Now we have the next speaker, Dr. Sanjib Patra. He is Associate Professor in Central University of Rajasthan. He is also the head of the Department of Yoga. He will be delivering his lecture on research in yoga. Now I request Jivita to introduce the resource person to the gathering.
I take honor to welcome on behalf of Department of Human Consciousness and Yogic Science, Mangalore University, the Dr. Sanjib Kumar Patra, the respected Dean in the School of Education, the Central University of Rajasthan. He is also the head of both Yoga and Education departments and Associate Professor in Central University of Rajasthan. Previously, he was the Associate Dean in Division of Yoga and Life Sciences at SVSI University, Bangalore. He held various research positions, which include Scientist 1 and 2 at Indian Council of Medical Research Center for Advanced Research in Yoga and Neurophysiology in SVSI, Bangalore. He has also worked as Research Officer at Physiology Section of Scientific Research Department, Kaivalyadhamma, Lonavala. Besides, he has also delivered talks and conducted sleep workshops in Southeast Asian countries, and also drafted a yoga syllabi from certificate to doctoral programs for Yunnan Minzu University, Kunming, China. He has also participated in the government autonomous bodies and drafted a syllabi from certificate to doctoral degree in 2016 as a working member of UGC. He has also worked as an expert member in the Quality Council of India and Skill India for initiating various activities in yoga, including syllabus drafting and conducting examination of various levels. He has developed a NAC manual for assessment and accreditation of the universities in India and engaged in alternative and complementary medicine, including yoga. He has also guided aspirants by supervising PhD and MD scholars and master degree students during the stint at SVSI University, Bangalore. He has also published more than 40 research papers in national and international journals on sleep architecture, autonomic and respiratory variables, and other aspects of yoga and physiology. He has also authored 3 books on yoga and its scientific applications, and involved actively in organizing stress management and workshops for executives. He has also been delivering lectures for executives of many companies such as ONGC, RBI, IICM, HAL, and BARC since 2010 to combat stress and sleep deprivation. He is proactively carrying out research trials using high-density EEG, polysomnography, and autonomic function test. He is gracing this occasion by presenting the paper on research in yoga.
Thank you. Now I request Dr. Sanjib Patra to deliver his session. Sir, the virtual platform is over to you.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Krishna Sharma sir and the colleagues and my friends in Mangalore University for giving this opportunity, such a wonderful opportunity to talk the yoga research in India. I'm not going to present my paper, but I am definitely going to talk something about a new topic that is all about yoga research in India. Yes. Next. In good old days, the laboratory the research laboratory for a yogi was his body. And the observation following a yoga practice was his experiment. Because there are no tools available, there are no instruments available to assess the changes within a body. So therefore, the research laboratory was his body, and every experience he was attending was like the experiment. It was like an experiment for the yogi. So there are many yogis who made outstanding contribution in the field of yoga. And I always call them contemporary yogis in 19th century. Swami Satyananda, Saraswati, definitely Sri Krishnamacharya ji, or Sri Krishnamacharya ji was little superior or little elder than Swami Satyananda Saraswati. So Swami Satyananda ji made outstanding contribution in the field of yoga. Sri Krishnamacharya, Sri BKS Iyengar, Sri Patavijay, Sri Dhirendra Brahmachari, Swami Kuvalyananda Saraswati, and Swami Mahesh Yogi. Next. So, Swami Satyananda ji, probably you would have seen the literature of Bihar School of Yoga. The literature of Bihar School of Yoga in India is quite unparalleled. It's difficult for the other institution to match with the literature available in Bihar School of Yoga. And Bihar School of Yoga, under the leadership of Swami Satyananda Saraswati, they have made outstanding contribution in the field of yoga. So they have contributed in Pavanamuktasana. In other words, I can say Pavanamuktasana Series 1, the contributor is Swami Satyananda Saraswati and his associates. Pavanamuktasana 2, Pavanamuktasana 3. And in addition to all the Pavanamuktasana series, he also has contributed many other techniques like Sankha Praksana, Yoga Nidra, many more techniques like Chakra Meditation, Daharakas Dharana, Hridayakas Dharana, Chidakas Dharana, Ajap Ajap, Antarmana, and many more techniques. Next. Krishnamacharya, all of you would be knowing. So he was like the guru or the master of Pattabhijayas and the master of Sri BKS Iyengar. And he has also made the outstanding contribution in the development of postural yoga. It's a typographical error. For the development of postural yoga. It will not be a mistake if I say he was the father of modern yoga. Next. So his disciples were Sri BKS Iyengar, and Pattabhijayas. So Sri BKS Iyengar, the Guru, Sri BKS Iyengar, he also made outstanding contribution for yoga posture, for voluntarily regulated breathing techniques. I think if you had an exposure to go to his institute in Pune, definitely you would definitely find that they do not have so much of interest in Kriya, the cleansing techniques, but they have their focus for the yoga techniques, for the yoga postures, and definitely the pranayama techniques. So their techniques have come to such a level that it was like, it was like a triggering point for the scientists around the globe to think about the biomechanics of yoga, to think about the alignment principles of yoga. In this, in the South Asia, biomechanics of yoga, including China, Japan, Korea, Singapore, the biomechanics of yoga has become so famous, so popular, and the biomechanics in many sports universities. When I was going around the South Asian countries, I found that, in many South Asian countries, the biomechanics of yoga has become so popular, and people and the yoga practitioners have their passion, so much of passion for, biomechanics, so much of passion for alignment principles. If you do not talk about the alignment principles, probably they would not develop their passion, develop their interest to learn yoga from you. He the one who started talking about doing some practices using props like straps, hand straps, leg straps, straps for the back, straps for the front area of the body. He started introducing the bricks, the yoga bricks. He started introducing the many chairs without backrest, without front rest. Next. Sri Pattabhijayas, and he was contemporary to Sri BKS Iyengar, and he could definitely figure out what is the real passion for the Westerners. Therefore, his technique became very popular among the people in West or in Western countries, I would say, in USA, in UK, etc. So his practices were found to be a bit physically demanding, and it is of dynamic style, And these physically demanding and dynamic styles of yoga, I think probably all of you would be knowing. So it is called Ashtanga Vinyas. Next. Dhirendra Brahmachari, and he was a popular yogi. He was the personal yoga tutor for the former Prime Minister, late Srimati Indira Gandhi. Okay. And he also made outstanding contribution. Okay. And because of Sri Dhirendra Brahmachari, the yoga fraternity had a privilege to learn the Sukshma Vyam, the Sthula Vyam. And Sukshma Vyam has further led to the physical medicine. Probably it will not be a mistake if I say there are many hospitals, like, one of the hospital in USA is Harvard School of Medicine. So there is a department called physical medicine. So in the physical medicine, they treat many arthritis patients, including rheumatoid, osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, by using the many techniques of Sukshma Vyam. Because the Sukshma Vyams are aimed at strengthening the muscles around the, around the joints, strengthening the very tiny, I would say, tendons, the ligaments that supports the joints. Sri Mahesh Yogi, his contribution was, all of you know, the Transcendental Meditation. His technique became very popular in the West, and people started experimenting on its meditation technique. And in addition to that, he also taught a technique, a voluntarily regulated breathing technique that also became very popular. Okay, he made the people to regulate the breath. He made the people to retain the breath for a longer period of time without putting a lot of effort. And eventually the aspirants started experiencing the bouncing of the body. The body started bouncing because of this voluntarily regulated breathing technique that he spread across the globe. Next. So I can say yoga is an ancient Indian way of life that includes yoga posture. Yoga posture means asana. The voluntarily regulated breathing techniques means pranayama, meditation, many philosophical principles like yama and niyama. So in India, research on the effects of yoga began in 1920 in the era of Swami Kuvalyananda and continues today. Next. It will not be a mistake if I say Swami Kuvalyananda is the one who started his career, I would not say career, who had a lot of passion for yoga research. In the early 19th century, Swami Kuvalyananda started his, passion, started having his passion for yoga. Believe me, he made Dr. Bhole he made him to get enrolled in MBBS. Not only he made his disciple Dr. Bhole, to get enrolled in MBBS in Pune Medical College, he also attended all the MBBS classes from the first year till the last year. So MB Bhole completed his MBBS and then MD, and then he established himself as one of the pioneer medical researcher and yoga researcher in India. So he said yoga researcher and a teacher are par excellence. So you can see his contribution. You can see using a metabolic analyzer, he see what are the different pranayama practices that makes the tissue to consume less oxygen. He will also try to find out what are the techniques that makes the physiological, the autonomic parameter to have the low in activity, to record the low in the activity of the autonomic variables. Next. Here you could see, here he made a person to demonstrate Noli. And for the first time he said, while doing Noli, you develop a negative pressure within the abdomen. And because of this negative pressure, the fluid that you place or the milk or the water that you place on in a bowl, and this water or the milk can be drawn into the body, can be pulled into the body when you develop a negative pressure within the intra-abdominal cavity. And last but not least, I would say Swami Kuvalyananda also made a big pit, and I had a privilege to work in the pit, and he was such a wonderful yogi who had made a pit, and this pit was connected with the ECG wires, so that you could hook the wire in the body of a yogi. Also, you could hook the electrodes from the surface of your skull to record the EEG, to record the ECG, and many physiological parameters. And for the first time, he said that if you are put within a pit and the pit is airtight, still there is a possibility for the yogi to survive, and the physiological parameter will not become absolutely flat. But Swami Rama had demonstrated that physiological parameters become flat. Okay, EEG becomes flat, ECG becomes flat. And one of the Mohammedan meditator, it was also recorded that ECG was flat. EEG was also flat. Next. So in Bihar School of Yoga, they have not made substantial contribution. They have not made substantial contribution in research, but one of the contributions they have made is like Yoga Nidra. By following the practice of Yoga Nidra, what happens to the brain? So they recorded EEG, they also recorded the MRI, and then believe me, so they found the dominance of the alpha wave in all the lobes of the brain, like frontal lobe, parietal, temporal, and occipital lobe. In all the lobes of the brain, they found the dominance of the alpha wave in all four lobes of the brain. So that was one of the published observation or published research. Though this trial was not carried out in Bihar School of Yoga, Munger, but this experiment was done in UK, and it was published in one of the very frontier journal in the world, British Medical Journal. Okay, next. So next, Transcendental Meditation also started started becoming popular. It started gaining momentum all over the world, and till date, Transcendental Meditation, the group like Travis Wallace, Mason, many scientists. So more than 380 peer-reviewed research studies were published using Transcendental Meditation techniques. So can you imagine 380, peer-reviewed research studies on the Transcendental Meditation technique, and they have published over 160 standard peer-reviewed research scientific journals. So I will not be having time to talk about it, the findings, Transcendental Meditation, but I can say the Transcendental Meditation, the findings were quite exciting. So Herbert Benson, so he was a professor, he was a dean in the Department of Physiology in Harvard Medical School, and he carried out some extraordinary experimental trials in Mohammedan meditators. So for the first time, he reported that you can definitely alter the waves of your brain. You can alter the temperature of your brain by doing the meditation. Not only that, he also used a term that meditation is a hypometabolic state. Meditation is a hypometabolic state. So it was like his findings were like the eye openers for many other, scientists in India. Sudarshan Kriya, all of you know, so it is a practice which is also gaining its momentum all over the world, and Sudarshan Kriya is also becoming popular, and it is a technique of art of living, and it was devised by Sri Ravi Shankar Yogi ji, Okay, so they have also made wonderful contribution. One of the studies say that if you do Sudarshan Kriya, it will lead to high activity of the beta waves, suggestive of high alertness, high attentive state of the mind. It was published in 2003 by Bhatia and his associate. Subramanyam and his associate in 2012, they also published, following the Sudarshan Kriya, they found that the lymphocyte count increases by 5-fold compared to the control group. The same scientists in 2012, along with his associate, they found that if you do not change your diet, Sudarshan Kriya alone can reduce your cholesterol. Okay? Sepla and her associate in 2004, they reported that Sudarshan Kriya is one of the very efficient techniques to reduce the post-traumatic stress disorders. Sulekha, one of the scientists in Nimhans in 2013, she reported that following the Sudarshan Kriya, an aspirant will be able to enhance his slow wave sleep or deep sleep. Okay? Next. Cyclic meditation, this technique is developed by Professor Dr. Nagendraji, H.R. Nagendraji, and this technique is also gaining its popularity. And using this technique, many research work has been published. Okay, many research work has been published, like using many instruments like heart rate variability of the ECG, and then galvanic skin resistance. Okay, then finger plethysmogram amplitude, heart rate, and many more. Also, they have also used the other tools like evok potential, like brainstem auditory evok potential, middle latency auditory evok potential, and long latency auditory evok potential. And this group, Dr. Sally and her group, has given an extraordinary contribution using evok potential as one of the tools for research, and they have done quite a good number of research using meditation, cyclic meditation as one of the intervention for many trials. Apart from that, for the first time, Dr. Sully and her associates reported that one who does cyclic meditation for about 23 minutes, there will be a drop of oxygen at the tissue level by 18%. Similarly, polysomnography using the sleep or polysomnography recording, she and her associates found that if you do cyclic meditation twice a day, you will definitely have, more quantity, or I would say more amount of slow wave sleep or deep sleep and less amount of the dream sleep. In other words, I can say there will be a more time for the brain to, I would say, to take rest, to attain a restful state. Okay. So, in other words, the quality of the sleep will be improved following the practice of cyclic meditation. Brahma Kumari Raja Yoga meditation, and believe me, one of the markers was developed using Brahma Kumari Raja Yoga meditation, and this marker is HR, heart rate, and GSR, galvanic skin resistance. Believe me, there are many phases in Brahma Kumari Raja Yoga meditation. When they get into the concentrative phase of the Brahma Kumari Raja Yoga meditation, their heart rate keeps increasing. Galvanic skin resistance goes down. Indicator of a lot of focus on the bindu, on the jyoti. Okay, so which by default it indicates that if you go into that state or during the preliminary stages of Brahma Kumari Raja Yoga meditation, your heart rate increases and galvanic skin registration goes down. Okay. So in addition to that, can you please go to the last slide? Last slide. Yeah. Last slide. Brahma Kumari Raja Yoga meditation. No, last. Brahma Kumari Raja Yoga meditation. No, next. Yes, here. Okay. So in Brahma Kumari Rajayoga meditation, it was also reported that, following the Rajayoga meditation, there will be high beta wave during the concentrative phase, which is natural. When you engage your mind, okay, to a task, there will be definitely high density beta activity. And also, it was also found that there will be low REM sleep following the Brahma Kumari Rajayoga meditation. In other words, I can say, if you do Rajayoga meditation, there will be less density of dream sleep and more density of slow wave sleep, like cyclic meditation. Next. So there are extraordinary contributions made by Patanjali Yog Peeth. So they have found that 4 days of yoga has improved the bone mineral density. Okay, 40 days of yoga. Yoga training was found beneficial and improved various aspects of physical fitness and exercise performance in sports personnel. They've also found that the prospective short duration intensive non-controlled trial showed that yoga practices were clinically useful in United Kingdom. Next. Okay. So now I discussed about the status of the yoga research in India. Now let me also highlight what are the current weaknesses, because all of us are the yoga research. We do a lot of work in yoga research, but the current weaknesses, I must highlight the current weaknesses. Seldom we find the yoga practitioners following the yogic principles. No good research designs and tools are being used currently. Confounding variables are many, and seldom we draw our attention to control or to monitor the confounding variables. Follow-up studies are handful in number, like long follow-up for 1 year or for 2 years or 3 years, because currently the researchers do not have any patience to go for a longitudinal study. Okay, studies with proper control group are not so many. Repetition of the instruments and the design. For example, one of the design which has become very popular in yoga research is wait list control. There is no control. Here you are comparing an orange with an apple, which is not possible. No masking, no blinding. And somewhere placebo is also playing a vital role in yoga research. Next. So what is the outcome now? The outcome is no societal impact and no relevance of our yoga research, no applied value. Findings are quite erroneous and abrupt. Findings are not reproducible. We try to reproduce some of the findings, but we could not. Okay, no novelty in the research, in yoga research, and no extraordinary finding. Only we get the desired results. What we intend, we get that. So therefore, it's a call for all of us. It's a call for all yoga researchers to think about it, to do some work which are rigorous in nature, to do some work that can definitely, that can be planned for a path-breaking research, that can be planned to carry some relevance in the society, that will have some applied value, to think something out of box, to think something, uniquely, okay, bilaterally. So then only the yoga research will again start its momentum, starts gaining its popularity, because there is a mismatch here. The mismatch is a modern conventional doctor has the idea about the medicine, but he or she doesn't have any idea about yoga. See, similarly, the yoga research have a lot of idea about the yoga, but the mismatch is we do not get into the deeper aspects of the modern medicine. So there is a big mismatch. The conventional medicine, people are not interested in yoga practices. Seldom you will find them doing yoga. So if you do not find them doing yoga, what experience will get? Experience is always translated in the research findings. Next. So in summary, I will say, while studies on the physiological effects of different practices are the most numerous, or but have not been described here, and they do not have direct applications. There are research, I actually picked up these points from a review article. What is the current status of the research in India? There are also research on the applications of the yoga, but the direct applications are very least. The most common application is as a form of add-on therapy for a wide range of disorders. Most of us believe to work in the clinical application, forgetting the basic research, forgetting the basic, findings, because the basic research becomes the foundation for the clinical research. Unless we are not good, until we become good in fundamentals, until we become good in basic research, probably we cannot contribute so much in clinical research. Okay? So these studies have attempted to assess whether yoga is useful or not. And in some cases, possible mechanism may also have been studied. Other application, for example, in adaptation to usually stressful environment and the use of yoga for stress management are also, mentioned or also being carried out. Next. So this was all about my talk. So my idea was to awaken all the yoga research. My idea was to, to give some inputs so that the yoga research can be further strengthened. The yoga research can be further, elevated to a heights. Thank you.
Now I thank Dr. Sanjib Patra for sharing wonderful aspects of the research in yoga, the challenges as well as some of the opportunities where we can focus to make meaningful research in yoga. On behalf of the Department of Human Consciousness and Yogic Science, I thank you, sir, for sharing this wonderful session for us.